It's Mike with Tech TV, and let's do the video review here on the Autococker SR. A lot of people, especially Autococker owners, have been kind of curious about this gun. A&S Gear just recently dropped the price on these to $250, and I was getting so many requests for a review on this gun. I called up A&S Gear, and they shipped me out one to review on the Tech TV show, which I really appreciate. Anyway, let's talk about the Autococker SR. I've had it now for about a month. We've shot quite a bit of paint through it. Actually, when Gordon Cockerpunk came down to Florida for the Punkworks Tour of Death, this was the gun that he actually shot. And once we had it tuned properly, it shot really good. So out of the box, there are a lot of rumors around the internet about them not being set up properly out of the box, and those are definitely confirmed because I had every problem that everyone else has been having with the Autococker SR out of the box. Now I want to address the problems that I had with it first before we do the whole review, just so if you do have an Autococker SR and you do experience problems out of the box, maybe these will solve it. The first thing I had was the watch time inside of the board. Now the board actually is it's a Tadao board. So I mean, these guns right now for $250. I mean, you've got $150 value just in the OLED board alone. So the board is smoking hot. I mean, it's got all the modes. I mean, this is basically the same kind of board you would expect to get on a $1,000+ marker. It's a $150 board and a $250 gun, no joke. So that right there, I mean, if the rest of the gun's worth $100, it's a steal. But the board is really, really good. But inside of the board, it's got what's called watch time. Now, this is closed bolt, which means that the bolt is forward when the gun shoots. But watch time is basically how much time it gives the ball to drop into place. The watch time, I believe, is 150 milliseconds default, and you want to set that to 400 milliseconds just in case you've got a ball rolling around or in around your feed neck or something like that, so that way it doesn't try to come forward and chop a ball in half. But the watch time, I believe, defaults either 150 or 200 milliseconds. Put that as high as it goes to 400 milliseconds, and you're going to cut down a lot on the ball breaks, especially as your loader gets empty. Another problem that I had was the LPR pressure. The LPR pressure, which you can adjust right here, was way too high on this gun, way too high. Even if the balls weren't chopping, the LPR pressure was so high that it was actually breaking the paint, shoving it into the barrel. So I wish that the board had classic mode. You guys that are E1, E2 owners from the old, from the E-Blade days, you guys remember the classic mode where you would pull the trigger, and as long as you held the trigger, the bolt would stay back, or the back block would stay back, and then when you let it forward, it would slam forward. It doesn't have that, but the closest you can get is by increasing your watch time, and then you should be able to tell whether or not the LPR pressure is about where it should be. Basically, you just want to make sure it's just high enough to cock the bolt, and maybe just a little bit higher than that. I found the LPR pressure was way too high on this gun, and definitely was causing some of the ball breaks we had out of the box. Another problem that I had with it was the lug was not set properly. Now, E-Blades and these type of guns here, these electronic sear tripper type guns, which is what this is, a solenoid in the front, sear tripper in the back. They're very sensitive as to how far down the lug is. If the lug is too far down, you have to hit that solenoid with additional dwell time in order for it to trip. If it's not down low enough, it may skip. But what you want to do to adjust your lug properly is on the back of the IVG, there is a retaining nut. So what you want to do is you want to back out the retaining nut, which holds the lug in place so it doesn't wiggle loose. Then what you want to do is you want to back the lug out until it doesn't catch on the sear anymore, and then you just want to go down about a turn. One turn and that's it. That should be about the right amount of lug depth so that it's not too long that the sear can't let it go, but it's not down too short that it may skip the sear completely. So once I address those three problems with increasing the watch time, increasing the LPR pressure, or lowering the LPR pressure, and also adjusting the lug properly, the gun shot really good. So I am happy to say that. Now I'm not going to take this gun apart, and because with autocockers and especially E-Blades, there's not a lot of usable serviceable parts. Basically, you just shoot it, and once it breaks, send it off to JT or WGP. But You know, typical autococker, it's got a tickler regulator, not that hard to take apart, but you do need a C-clamp or the C-clip puller to pull it apart. LPR, you know, solenoid, it's all sealed up inside here, so, you know, this is not, you know, basically these kind of guns, you put 2 or 3 drops in the ASA and you shoot them until they break. Once they break, you send them in for service. This isn't something that, it's not like an Eagle where you can just take it apart every single weekend. I mean, this is, you screw this up, your gun's going to be gone for a couple weeks. But let's go ahead and take it out and do the efficiency review and come back and do the conclusion.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Mike from TechDB, and we're going to be doing the efficiency test on the Autococker SR. Now the first thing I want to do is show you the gauge. We are sitting at actually right around about 4,500 PSI on the gauge, and let's go ahead and take a tank temperature reading. Okay, you should see that we're sitting right around about 76 degrees on the tank. Now the only upgrades that I've done to this Autococker SR that is going to be a little different than stock is this is a 684 Caner back as opposed to the 689. So, you know, the paint that we're shooting is about 682, 684 bore, so this is a 684 back, which is common for most autococker owners because they're going to have, you know, a snug fit bore back. But let me go ahead and load up our first pod. Now we're shooting RPS Premium here, and what we're going to do here is test out also the Empire Prophecy LTD. Looks like we're just a little hot, 307. Let's back this out just a smidge. A little more. Try to get us right around about the 290s. Just a little more. Okay, that works for me, sitting about 295. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and set the chronograph aside. I've already got my first pod loaded up. And let's go ahead and start shooting. Yeah, that's it. Cool. Let's see how much we got here. Was that about 1/3 of a pod? Okay, cool.
Quarter.
Okay. And pod's that, and this one's 1/3, so we've got 4, 8, about 8 and 2/3 of a pod, 8 and 2/3 pods out of the Autococker SR. Thank you.
So we just did the efficiency test, and I did have one other problem with the gun, with the board. Now I'm not sure what it was. Basically, you remove this grip, and there's a jog dial inside there, and that's how you adjust the programming. Well, it said to hold the button to shut the board off, well, I would hold the button and it would never shut the board off. So after I programmed all my settings and I had to disconnect the battery, not sure if that's, you know, what the deal is with that, but I wanted to address it. Not that big of a deal. Once I adjusted the settings, I adjusted the settings. But, you know, recommended upgrades. The cool thing about the SR is the stock barrel comes at a 689. Obviously now in this day and age, most paint's coming out right now at like a 682, 684. But you can get the Caner barrel backs. You may have to search around on the internet. I'm not sure if A&S Gear has them, maybe Paintball Gateway has them, but you can get like the 682 Caner barrel backs. And what's kind of cool is you still have the Autococker SR front. You've got like a 682 Caner barrel back, and it matches actually really nice. You got a gloss barrel black, parts of this gun are gloss and stuff like that. But overall, I mean, how does it feel in your hand? Actually surprising, as goofy as the grip looks, it actually doesn't feel that bad in your hand. Trigger is not the greatest. It's definitely old school E-blade style trigger, breakaway magnet. You know, you can get it up and running. There's not an awful lot of room inside of the trigger frame to really get on the trigger that fast. It does have the standard bounce that you would expect from an E-blade, so you may want to mess around with your mechanical mounts and your you know, your bounce settings a little bit to, you know, get it to where it's a little bit legal and it's not running away on you. You are going to have to do some tweaking on the trigger to get it how you like it, but the good part about it, even though it's got the old E-blade style trigger, you've got a micro switch in there, which is a huge plus for these. Okay, I love the fact that it's got a micro switch in there. You've got that positive click every time you pull the trigger. Makes it setting it up a lot easier. It's just that the magnets at the top of the trigger frame, there's no spring in the back. If it had a spring in the back, it'd actually be pretty nice, but it's a magnet. But all in all, for $250, is it worth it? Hell yeah. I mean, you know, like I said, you're getting a $150 value just in the OLED board alone, maybe even more. I mean, what are they selling OLED boards for? $150, $60, $70, $80? So, I mean, another $100, you got yourself a whole gun. Nice little on-off ASA. It does feel good in your hands when you're shooting it. I mean, there's not even really plastic on this gun. This is all aluminum. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and weigh it. Now, as this is booting up, you know, would I take this to tournaments? Probably not, but maybe for some hardcore scenario play, hardcore woods ball play, definitely a rec ball shooter, absolutely. I probably wouldn't be taking this to a PSP, but you know, for some good competitive paintball, it's definitely fun. It's definitely got a sound signature about it that most people are, you know, when they hear it, they're like, what the hell is that? So we're all zeroed out here. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Okay, that's not too bad. So 2 pounds. 12.2 ounces. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. 2 pounds, 12.2 ounces. So it's not exactly a, you know, an E-matrix, but it's not too bad. Another complaint about it, it's just something that you're just going to have to watch out for when you get the gun in the mail, is the on-off button is very easy to touch. It's right on the back of the snatch grip. Let's go ahead and turn it on. So it's very easy to turn on or push the on-off button. You know, if it's in the, if it's in your, you know, in your gear bag, or it's sitting in, you know, sitting at your house somewhere or something like that, or if you go to pick it up with the snatch grip, you're going to turn the gun on or turn the gun off very easily. And also, if you're not careful, you'll turn the eyes off. So that's probably one complaint about it. I mean, you know, the on-off button works great. It just so happens that it's in a location that's very easy to turn it on and off. So, all in all, you know, I think it's a great gun. I think it's a great value right now for $250. One thing that I do really like about the gun is the fact that it's dual detent. Okay, it's not like the single one-sided detent that, you know, you end up shooting the ball bearing out of your barrel. No, this is actually dual detents. It's like Intimidator style detents. It's got a really nice Delrin bolt, you know, tiny little Delrin bolt. It's got the, you know, Grooves Machine did it for the detents. But I think for $250 right now on A&S Gear, I think it's an absolute steal for the price. You know, are these going to become collector's items? I don't really think so. You know, I don't think it's going to be taking over the carnivore. I know that the fact that I don't know if you can turn this into a pump gun or not. I think if you could, you know, if some people probably want a, you know, E-bladed pump, but, you know, since you can't really turn these into pump guns, and there's not really a lot of them out there, and they definitely can come in a lot of different colors. You know, I don't particularly think it's going to be a classic, you know, or what, you know, a lot of people would consider a classic, but, you know, a really cool shooter for $250, yeah, I would definitely pick this up. So.